Here we are, and it's another week is kind of flown by
Blown by.
regarding, and it's Thursday at 11, so this is what we do. So, how are you doing this week?
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. The woman who's been cutting my hair for many years is driving down from Vermont to do outdoor haircuts. So I am so excited.
Wow,
So it's the simple things in life I am now looking forward to.
yeah, that's really interesting.
Yes.
She has I mean, I have so many questions, and we have,
Yeah, no, which is not on topic, but
so yeah, well, I mean, I think it is on topic because it is just this idea about, normality,
yeah.
which is the thing that we're all missing. I mean, just to let you all know, so Darien Wellness is obviously in Darien, Connecticut, in Fairfield County, and I'm coming to you from New York City, and Deborah is right on the Connecticut-New York border. And in Connecticut, there is a relaxing of some of the um, the restrictions.
Restrictions,
And
right.
she's coming to Connecticut.
Nope, nope. But I think, Connecticut has allowed salons to open. I don't believe that's happened in New York yet. Um, she has a sister in New York, in a town in Westchester County, and she's going to set up in her sister's driveway with all the protective gear. Everybody's going to come with their hair already washed, and she'll cut hair.
That's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
These kind of things remind me a little bit about when I read about World War II, like people coming together, and it might not be perfect, but you know what? It's a whole lot better than not having your hair cut.
or going onto YouTube to see how you can do it to yourself.
Yeah,
I've seen some very funny pictures of the results of that one.
me too, and that's why I've done it. So, yeah, I just I'm on a service where reporters ask questions, and I just lived like 5 minutes ago sent off an answer about people who are not getting care because it's not exactly what they want.
The video
And
issue.
yeah, and that actually it's so interesting because that's our first question too.
Yep.
This is with this the same example with your hair, right? That, well, it's not in a salon, and I want this experience, and it has to look this certain way. There are people who are not going to do that, and you know what? That's their choice. Uh,
Yep.
Hairdos, and is it going to kill you? But untreated illness can,
Yeah.
and that's actually what I was writing about. So. Um, Let's actually go to this first question, which is a lot of questions.
Yes.
So I'm going to read it, and then if it's okay with you, I would just like to start with the first one and just kind of,
Sure.
along. So
Yep.
I was looking at your website, which I assume is our website,
I assume so.
darrenwood.com, and it's all online. And oh wait, and see, it's all online. Having trouble here on the air reading. Um, I was looking at your website and see it's all online now.
Yeah.
Is online therapy effective? I'm worried I won't like it so much. What about for kids? How much longer will it be that way? So,
That's a bunch of questions.
yeah, so we'll be systematic, and we'll start with the first one. Is online therapy effective? So,
Well, I have to say I was a skeptic at first, and David had to challenge my thinking to allow me to open up to the possibility that, maybe it could be. And there's lots of actual studies and documentation that indicate it's just as effective as in-person counseling.
Mhm.
And in a time when people are not feeling safe around each other or out in the community, it's actually more effective in some instances.
Yeah.
Um, what I found in my work with people and my getting used to it is that it's actually pretty easy to get used to. Also, it is because all the work it happens in the connection between counselor and client, and you can make that connection very effectively online.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's certainly been my experience. I mean,
yeah.
Deborah said she's pretty new. You had not done any kind of video visits prior,
No, no, I hadn't.
and I've been doing it since 2008. Um, and one of the things that I have found, well, two facts that I always think about. Um, a lot of times, my older clients adapted to it much better.
Really?
Yeah, and I think it's because they were, I don't think younger people appreciate their hourly time the way older people do because older people have places to be and things to do. And, you don't have to, well, you don't even have to, I guess you can get dressed from the waist up.
Yes.
I mean, I have seen clients in house coats, I have seen clients in pajamas. I mean, yeah, I mean, but I've also seen clients, dressed in business attire. So there's a
Yep.
wide range there. But you don't have to dress up. You don't have to leave your house, and you don't have to get a parking spot.
Nope.
Um,
But you can go to your car if you need privacy. I see people in their cars all the time.
Very true.
Or one guy was in some heavy piece of machinery at work. He's a longshoreman, and so he was like in this piece of machinery with things rumbling by him, but it was
Yeah,
private enough space that we were able to meet. You can do it any way that it works for you, that you have, some privacy.
yeah.
And
That,
as you say, with the a lot of people aren't feeling particularly safe leaving their home, even now when we're being told we can start doing it. And so this is really effective for people who don't want to get up and leave the house. It gives them an option to talk to somebody and still feel as safe as possible.
yeah, right. I agree completely. The other thing that I've discovered is that I learn things about my clients. I mean, this may not make everybody feel comfortable, but I mean, I learn things about my clients and have a better picture about the issues that they're facing by seeing them in their home quite frequently.
Really?
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm a man who actually started, I mean, my longest online client. So I've moved all over the world and I would see, let's call this guy John. I would see John. I mean, he's in New York. I started seeing him in New York. Then I went to the West Coast and was living on the West Coast and practicing there. And I continued to see him. And then I came back and then I went back again. And I've actually seen him from Europe as well.
Wow.
Um, and so many years. And very professional guy. And you would never know that sometimes his house would get really out of control.
Yeah.
And I could tell a lot about what was going on in his life
Interesting.
from that. And I would ask him questions about it. I could see the mail stacking up. That was an indicator that something was going on. Was there was a stack of mail over his right
Yes.
shoulder, and sometimes the counter would be clean, and sometimes it would be too deep in these
Well,
two stacks. And so I realized pretty soon, and I was just talking to another one of the counselors in our group yesterday about this issue, and she said that she feels like she knows her folks better. That, quite frequently they will take her on a tour of the house.
ah, nice.
Um, and she's met pets, she's seen children. I mean,
Mhm.
she's got a much fuller, like, kind of picture of these people's lives.
Yeah, that's great. Yep.
I think it enhances the therapeutic process in some ways. So,
Can very well. Like, as I've said, I've seen the interior of several vehicles.
which also can tell you a ton, right? Yeah, yeah, I'm always interested. I'm a non-car owner for 20 years, but I'm always interested when I get into other people's cars, what,
Yep.
like, and so I think we answered the first question. Is online therapy effective? As Deborah said, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
anecdote and also research-wise, it shows. And I always think about, uh, I get asked a lot about side effects. Should I take this medicine? It has a side effect. And one of the things that I always say is, there's also a side effect for not taking medicine. The reason I bring this up is there's a side effect if you feel like you're depressed or you're anxious and you need help and you're not getting it because it doesn't look exactly the way you think it should be.
Yep.
There's a real side effect to that.
Yep.
You're putting yourself at risk. Um,
Yep.
the next part of the question is, well, it's more a statement. I'm worried I won't like it as much. I mean, I guess my response to that would be, well, not that you don't know.
Well, yeah, that's my response too. Try it. Maybe you will like it. It's like anything new, it requires some adjustment. That's just the way it is, and sometimes we don't want to adjust to something new, but we're all being forced to adjust now in ways that we never could have predicted. And this is one of them.
If I
So
had
try it. And if you hate it, don't do it. But I would be surprised if you weren't able to connect and feel comfortable.
6 months ago, if I had bet you $100 that you were going to be getting your hair cut in someone's driveway, would you have taken that bet? If I said,
Sure.
I'll give you $100,
I Yep. No, I mean, as all of us know and are struggling to come to terms with, the world stopped on a dime in ways no one besides a science fiction writer could have predicted. I mean, this is all our routines, all the amazing enmeshment of the economy and all of our, networks of friends and business, like, stopped.
yeah. And so you're getting your hair cut in a driveway.
In a driveway, and it's fine with me.
Yeah. Would you rather go to Vidal Sassoon or get your hair cut in a driveway?
Right now, I'm getting my hair cut in the driveway.
Well, I would rather
There's
I would,
plenty of air out there.
I'd rather go to Vidal Sassoon, but I will believe me, if I
Yeah,
could driveway thing, I'd get my hair cut there too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all a question of where you're feeling safe,
Mhm.
and all the evidence that is compiling now about how this virus is transmitted indicates you are least at risk in an open air environment.
Mhm. Yeah. Ventilation is a key.
Yep.
Yeah. So try it, and also try it a few times.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so next week, if you come back and you're like, I'm never getting my hair cut in the driveway again. I'm going to say, well, maybe it's just first time jitters. Maybe, the weather wasn't right. I don't know. Hot, before you mark it off, right?
Exactly.
And it's very much like, I know plenty of people who were married but had horrible first dates.
Yeah.
And if they had said, well, I'm going to go on this one date, and if it doesn't go perfectly, I'm done. I'm not going to go back. And a lot of folks would be in very different circumstances if they had used that logic.
True.
Yeah. What about for kids?
So online therapy for
Online
kids, right? I don't work with children, so I don't know, but I know that several of my colleagues do. And uh, I, same answer. It seems to be working effectively.
Um, I am brave enough every now and then to see an adolescent. I don't work with children, but I will see adolescents. And then I have a client who's 20 now, but uh, you know, they're digital natives. They grew
Yeah.
up in this environment, so this is how they talk to people anyway. This is not unusual.
Yeah, this is nothing they need to adjust to. So, yeah.
And I talk to parents all the time who are, you know, well, I texted my son and he told me he wasn't going to eat dinner. You know, I mean, he's upstairs, and I mean, they're communicating that way in the house.
Yes.
So, yeah, for a lot of us, I think that's another thing that we don't think about is, I mean, yeah, people FaceTime all the time, and they talk about really serious issues over FaceTime.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Yeah. So yeah, I think for kids, it really makes more sense. They won't see.
Yeah. And for younger children, I remember one of our colleagues posting something on our internal chat about games, online games, and therapeutic games. Because with younger children, you do a lot of play therapy, and that there are those things available online, and they they've been working with them very effectively.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes with my teenager, he'll get a little stuck on talking about something, and I'm like, you know what? Let's play charades. So
There you go.
I have gotten out the charades rules and forgotten how bad I was at charades. But yeah, and that kind of loosens up the ground a little bit, and then
Yep.
we'll do a couple rounds of that, and sometimes he'll even do a charade around what he really wants to talk about.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah. And then the last question is, how much longer will it be this way? And so that means how much longer will you, like Darien Wellness specifically,
Hmm.
you specifically, and I guess mental health. How much longer will it be this way?
Uh, that's a question that is really hard to answer. Um, I, I, we don't have any set policy for our practice. Each individual clinician is doing what makes them feel comfortable. The building that our offices are in have instituted all kinds of cleaning and distancing procedures that they're sticking to faithfully. So um, if people feel comfortable coming into the office, they can do that.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Uh, Assuming that their counselor wants to do it.
That's what I'm saying. If the counselor feels comfortable being in the
Oh,
building,
it was, sorry.
and the client as well. Obviously, everybody has to feel comfortable with it. I'm not certain for myself when I will feel comfortable with that. I was never terribly impressed with the ventilation system in that building anyway. Um, so I am probably going to be doing video conferencing for a while.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I mean, same. Well, for me, are any of my clients watching? Um, I don't know if I'm ever going back. So, myself.
Yeah.
But I'm very comfortable in this environment, and it really suits my lifestyle.
Yep.
Um, so I don't know. My choice actually has nothing to do with COVID.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and there are plenty of people who are willing to do it. I think, I do miss some of the aspects, but
Hmm.
if I do a cost benefit analysis, it's not enough for me to go
Hmm.
back.
Well, it
And
cuts down on your travel seriously too, which is really something to consider as well. And I think a lot of people, a lot of corporations, a lot of even smaller businesses are all noticing they can do this and work productively and effectively and cut down on certain costs and other side effects of going into offices. So I think there's a lot of workplaces that are going to be changing in similar ways.
Mhm, mhm. So, I mean, I do think, I mean, I know a psychiatrist who is not doing telemed, is doing in-person work.
Really?
And I'm willing to bet, I have a friend who's a psychiatrist. I need to check with her, but I'm willing to bet she's not. Um, but I, for the most part, I think people in mental health are doing this and they're going to do it for a while. I mean, you know, I was having a conversation with a young man at the Starbucks today, who was he was saying that some research was done, and I'm like, we don't know enough about COVID-19. 6 months ago, the body of research was zero.
Yeah.
So we don't know enough, and I think that basing your life decisions on a study that had 8 participants and
Oh,
sounds
vaccine, yes.
um, yeah, I that's not a very that's not a very big number, um, and it needs to be reproduced in a bigger scale in a different place.
And distributed widely. I mean, there's a long process here. And I think there are certain things we can go back to with new precautions fairly safely, and other things that are just going to really have to change.
Yeah, and and also uh, with telemed, with video visits, like therapy, like we're talking about online,
Yep,
it has been around a long time, and there is a lot of research that shows that it's effective.
exactly.
I mean, the first study that I read was over a decade ago. So yeah, you really can
Yep,
uh, have effective therapy online.
yeah.
So,
And effective couples therapy and family therapy. We're doing it all.
yep, yep. That's. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I'm actually going to be seeing a family with mom, dad, 2 kids, so 4 of them and me next week. Yeah.
Great.
Um, yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a great question. It was full of questions, and I answered all of them effectively. I'm going to skip to the last question because
I
I'm
think that's what we have time for.
yeah, yeah. Um, is is depression contagious?
That's an interesting question. I think that mood is contagious and that people's environment has an awful lot to do with their mood. Um, so, in that sense, if a whole household of people is living exclusively with each other and everybody's feeling really bummed out, that's it. Maybe that's what you're seeing, that everybody has sort of gone down the same mood slide. Um, so that's That's my answer to that one. I think you can influence each other in the other direction as well.
Sure, right, absolutely. Um, there's so when we talk about something being a contagion, that means that one person has it and they transmit it to another person.
Yep.
And we typically use the word contagion and contagious to indicate medical issues. Like I have a cold and I sneeze and then you get my cold and then you pass it on to somebody.
Yeah, exactly what we're living through.
Yeah, yeah, except for consequences are a lot higher, obviously. Um, and so I wonder, I'm thinking if I, so if I'm depressed, I can't, there's nothing that I can do like like that. So the cold is transmitted in a second, in a sneeze or a cough or a
In a
surface.
physical way, in
Yeah,
a physical outpouring of germs.
right. And that's not the case with depression. So I can't sneeze or cough and give somebody depression if I have it. But following up on what you were saying, my mood, which if I have depression, and it's really complicated with English. I need to talk to somebody who speaks really fluent German to make sure I'm right about this. But um, that translation of depression, like the way Freud talks about it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the best word, but that's the word we got.
Yeah.
And so, because you can feel depressed and not have depression.
Yeah.
If
That's
my,
why I referred to mood instead of depression, because
yes,
there's a real distinction.
hmm yeah, but so I have a feeling that with German, there's a difference between
Sure.
mood and that condition. But
Yeah.
in English, put it all in one box. And so, but if I'm depressed, if I have clinical depression, it's going to affect my mood, like Deborah said. And the way that I behave is going to be affected, and the way that I treat other people is going to be different.
Yeah.
If I treat them poorly, then they're probably going to be frustrated or angry or anxious. Um, yeah, I'm not smart enough to fully answer this question. I'm trying to
Yeah.
give a very thoughtful answer, but I don't want to. I mean, because part of me wants to go, well, of course not, because just what I just said. You can't cough or sneeze.
Yeah.
But I do think that if I'm living with somebody who is depressed, the environment is really going to be difficult to live in on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly, especially if you're stuck there and you can't go to work and talk to not depressed people, and you can't go, to church, and you can't go to a restaurant with a friend. If you're just stuck there, everybody's mood is affected by that. And then if somebody is really seriously upset, then that affects everyone in the environment.
Yeah. So, great question. I need to think about it. I wish I was a little smarter, but I'm not that smart. But I do think it's a great question. I agree with Deborah, and I do think that I kind of have that chicken soup answer. I mean, does chicken soup cure the cold? No, but it sure doesn't hurt, right? So, in the reverse, if I'm exposed to depressed people and depressed mood all the time, it probably doesn't help.
No?
Um, so yeah, that's a thoughtful question. I really appreciate that Instagram person, and that was submitted for Instagram. So we do have questions for next week, but we're going to hold off and we'll roll them over. And please send us more questions. You can ask questions about mental health. You can ask questions about living in this age of COVID. Or you didn't have to do anything with COVID either, because we
Right.
can talk about those issues too. And you can DM us through Instagram. You can email us info@darienwellness.com, or you can go to our Facebook page, or you can go to our Twitter page, and you can contact us there. And we always answer questions confidentially. And I have a request for next week. I've never had a themed request, but I have a request for next week.
Ooh.
I am curious about the experience of professionals working from home. What is that like for you? What are the challenges that you're facing working? So let's see if we get any specific filtered questions on that topic. But
Excellent.
already got questions set if we don't. But so we might hold on to them for a week or two, and then when we get enough, we'll do a working at home show. So
Great.
all right.
Great.
Well, thank you very much, as always, Deborah. It's good seeing you.
Oh, my pleasure. And I would hope everybody has a good week.
Yeah,
And happy Memorial Day to the extent that you can celebrate.
exactly.
I hope it's a good one for everybody.
Yeah, me too. And I look forward to seeing your dazzling hairdo the next time.
It will at least be shorter.
Okay. Well, the heat is on, so tell us good job. So, all right. Well,
All right.
stay
See you
tuned
next
to see
week.
what his hair looks like next week, and
Yeah.
we'll see you soon. Have a good holiday, everybody. Bye.
Bye.